Hello, it's Emma Mills here and welcome to episode 78 of MiTV Brandishing, surprise, brand new stationery. I have been to Paperchase and bought lots of things to help me with this book writing, which I'm going to talk about today. But one thing I just want to pick up on is I did get this pen from Paperchase and it's the V-Sign pen. Apparently it is the most popular pen in the world for scrapbooking. I don't scrapbook, but I do write lots of notes and it is amazing, super cheap as well. So if you're into pens and stationery like me, that is definitely a good one to pick up on. So today I'm going to revert back to the book. I set myself, and I'll let you know on here, a couple of weeks ago, 27th of September, 40,000 words, done, typed, and in the bag. That is the plan. It's a good goal for me because when I've done 40,000 words, I'll have a book pretty much done, ready to start editing and chopping up and changing. And I'm going on holiday shortly afterwards, so I'll be able to enjoy it and not think about it. And so 40,000 words in just under 5 weeks, considering I've been thinking about it for 18 months, is quite a task. I had to learn a few things about myself to get this done, a few tips that I realised are good things to do. And so that is what, whether you care about me writing this book or not, there are some tips that have come out of it that I think are definitely things to consider if you're planning in to do chunky or project-driven stuff. So number one was the stationery. Picked up this tip from doing the Dent course, but I'm sure you can see a few of them. I've basically got my book mapped out via card, and then I fill in the like 1,000 words per card. And these are just revision cards from Paperchase, different colours. I use them for like chapter, sub-chapter, but these have been ace for me visually seeing it, and it kind of has broken it down because I'll just pick up a card and I'll write so many words about it. So for planning out any kind of project or process or event or anything you need that's got steps to it, and you don't necessarily want to use some online software, these cards have been really vital. A few Sharpies, my V-Sign pen have been away. So I've been using my new office, which I've just actually completely forgotten. The wall is fully painted green now, so last time you saw me in here, it was part done. Again, it gave me some accountability to get it done, but it's done. So I've been using this office, much to Joe's pleasure now that I'm actually using it, and using it for what I said I would, which is write the book. So 40,000 words, how is it going? Well, it's like just under the middle of September. I'm at 15,000 words. And ultimately, the things that I've learned are, so I chunked out time in my diary, 2 hours a day to write every single day, Saturdays and Sundays. And it worked to an extent. However, what I did was I did like 7 till 9 every day, 2 hours recurring till the 27th. Now, that hasn't really worked in that time slot. I definitely know I'm not the most creative in the morning. Weekends have actually worked really well for me, I guess because I am most rested and I feel, I guess, the most that I'm not going to be needed elsewhere. So I've probably had more focus on it. Weekends have worked well. I'd say late afternoon, maybe like the 3 till 5 slot, 4 till 6 has also worked really well because I know that I've got everything I need to do in the day at my PA. And then I've focused on coming back here and typing. So that has worked well. So chunking the time has worked well. It's just made me realise more about myself and my day and actually what has worked the best. So if you are planning anything in, carving out time in your day, even whether you stick to it or not, at least brings your attention and focus to that you need to allocate the time, whether you actually stick to it or not and you do it in the evening or whenever. But still having it in there as like a default diary, if you like, has worked really well for me. Setting daily attainable goals. So these little cards work as prompts. Ultimately, they are like topics, exercises, stories, things I want to incorporate. And then I will type X amount of words around it. So ultimately, I think all of these little cards are like tiny goals that I can just pick one up and think, oh yeah, okay, so I'm in the mode of thinking of writing about what do you actually delegate, what a good task to delegate. And then I will start writing about that. So these cards and breaking it down have made it way easier than just thinking, okay, I want to write a book about helping business owners to leverage their time and outsource and getting from one person to two and having the choice of how they run the business. Rather than just thinking that, mapping it out has helped really well. Just starting is probably the simplest piece of advice, but has been the most important for me. So I am definitely an overthinker and I will tend to assume things about stuff, or maybe I will tend to think, okay, this is going to be hard, when actually when you just start, it's not. So some of the things that cross my mind is like I love doing video, and I think that I come across relatively well on kind of conveying what I want to do. But I did think about writing as kind of like, okay, well, I know that I sound okay when I speak, but actually writing, how is that going to come across? Is Emma Mills is it going to sound like Emma's written it, and that you're actually, you know, if I was speaking to you, is the book going to sound like that? Am I going to get quite stilted and it's just going to sound very kind of generic, I guess? So I was kind of quite worried about that, and that almost put me off writing it because I didn't want something that didn't sound like my voice. Now, I did have advice to speak the book. That I don't particularly, doesn't kind of tie in with me that either. Just speaking and then not being able to think what did I say just then, or be able to rewind it easily. So I still wanted to write, but the starting has basically eradicated that. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to be the next amazing novelist. What I'm saying is that the actual action of just typing and getting up to 10,000 words, 12,000 words, reading back through it and thinking, okay, yeah, that's okay, and just the actual starting has basically eradicated the thought of I'm not going to be any good at writing this book. So my biggest piece of advice is stuff that you need to tackle or do. Just the starting, like, kicks off loads of things. It's like, even if I've just written 100 words, to be fair, when I wrote the first section, my first chapter, it was like 1,000 words. That took a couple of hours because we're just getting into it. But that was a good kickstart to think, okay, I've actually done this. Well, I only have to do that 40 more times and then I've got a book. So it was the big thing is I've talked about it so much. I also do that, can be prone to doing that quite a lot. But I've talked about it so much that I'm almost like kind of scaring myself away from doing it. So just starting is actually one of the biggest pieces of advice that I've got. So the chunking things down in my diary, the setting the attainable goals, which is basically my little tidbits of chapters and subtitles to get done, figuring out what is the best time of the day to work for me, and just starting is some of the biggest things that have basically come out of this. So I'm halfway through. I will keep you updated towards the end of the month. I'm sure that as the end of the month comes, I hear that like when you get so far through the book, you start to maybe dry up a little bit, like the enthusiasm or the ideas and the creativity kind of plateaus a bit. So I'll let you know how I get on with that and how I get over it. And actually, sorry, the final thing that has really, really helped, and I think helps in any part of your life, whether it's business, personal, is accountability groups. So I have Matt and Joe at work who are keeping me super accountable. I have Joy and Gary who I met on the Dent course and have been amazing support to me. So actually having the two groups where I've been able to update with word count, ask advice, they've been helping with book titles, having accountability partners and groups of people that you trust and inspire you and push you on and want you to do well is also really important. So those are my tips for getting a book or a vlog or a podcast or anything at all, or anything in your business or a project to get it done. I hope this helps get your head out of the dirt and into the clouds. And then I guess I will see you next week for episode 79. See you then. Bye bye.